Amid the third wave of COVID-19 comes the Ford government's second pandemic budget, which places lives and livelihoods above all else.
We haven't beat this virus yet. We are pulling out all the stops to defeat this virus.
Priority number one, vaccinations. The government says it'll spend $1 billion on its vaccination strategy. But the growing hospitalizations are also forcing new spending. $1.8 billion is going to hospitals, including $760 million on 3,100 new beds, $778 million to help hospitals with patient needs during the pandemic, and $300 million to address the surgical backlog, which grew to 227,000. Businesses struggling during the cycle of closures will be getting money in 2021 as well. The government's spending $1.7 billion on grants for small businesses of up to $10,000 to $20,000. 120,000 businesses are expected to benefit, and another $100 million will be given to hotels, motels, travel agents, and summer camps affected by the pandemic. While the education sector is getting limited pandemic funding this year, families are getting another injection of cash. Families are now eligible for up to $400 per child and $500 for a child with special needs. But critics say the government left out thousands of frontline workers forced to isolate during the pandemic. All three opposition parties have called for a provincial sick pay program.
I think the government must have missed the memo, because the pandemic is not yet over. The hurt hasn't stopped in our province, but this budget doesn't even mention the third wave, let alone help people through it.
While the government clocked a record $38.5 billion deficit in 2020, the recovery begins this year. The finance minister is banking on more people returning to work, more businesses reopening their doors, and consumers spending their saved-up cash, sending nearly $6 billion in tax revenue up to Queen's Park. At that pace, the province is projecting lower deficits over the next few years.
This level of debt, as I've said, is not sustainable in the long term. With lower interest rates right now, it's very manageable. And the best thing we can do is get everyone vaccinated in this province and then reopen the economy.
And under the best case scenario, the budget will be balanced in 10 years, the government says, reaching $900 million by the year 2029. It's not just the billions being added to the bottom line. The province's debt is ballooning as well. In the next 2 years, Ontario's debt is projected to grow to $500 billion. That amount is only possible because of today's low interest rates. But the province says if that even grows by 1 percentage point, the province will be on the hook for an additional $700 million in interest alone. At Queen's Park in Toronto, Colin DeMello, CTV News.